So this is my 1965 Austin Gipsy G4M10. It's a ex-British government home office auxiliary fire service Gipsy. It was one of the ones that was stored in a bunker through from when it was new, 1965 to 1997, when all the fire equipment was sold off at auction. This was sold with around 1,500 original miles. I think it was 1,550 or somewhere around there. That's where I got it. I bought it from a guy who bought it at the auction, and I've put probably about 3,500 miles on it now, just driving it around in the summer, keeping it exercised. It's all original. I have the original tires for it. These are aftermarket ones that I run it on, because I don't want to wear the original ones or damage them, because they're still probably 90% tread. This is the original spare on the hood. Those are just the original flashing warning lights. This Gipsy would have towed a diesel-powered firefighting trailer. Would have been cool to have that too, but kind of expensive getting it and finding one and having it shipped here, so I've never got the matching trailer. It still has the original plastic on the back seats. They've never been used as far as I know. This was used for, you know, exercises. Like I say, the British government put about 1,500 miles on it and used it now and then. They were sold, there was about 100 Gipsys that were sold at that auction, and they ranged anywhere from 50 miles to I think around 30,000 miles. I can't recall the highest mileage. Original canvas top. I just tucked the back door up out of the way so I can see better. Being a right-hand drive, it's a little tricky to drive around here in Canada because you're driving on the right-hand side of the road, so it gives me a little better visibility. It's got the BMC, this thing's pretty heavy, 2.2 single barrel carb, runs I think 72 horsepower, about 120 pounds of torque. Good little motor, torquey, runs nice. Yeah, it's just probably, I think fuel economy is around, not that you really worry about fuel economy much, but I think fuel economy on these was 24 miles per gallon, US gallon. Actually, you know, that was probably imperial gallons because it was British. It still has, everything inside is original. The only thing I had to replace was the bottom seat cushions. When I bought it, it only had the driver's seat cushion. Because these all had the center seat cushion removed because a radio was mounted there, and so a lot of them, I think what happened at this one, maybe at the auction or maybe somewhere along the way, somebody must have took the passenger seat out and put it in the middle of their Gipsy that they bought. So I found this company in the United States that matched this vinyl pretty darn close. It's you know, it's so close. You know, I can't complain too much about that. It was a little pricey to get it done, but otherwise everything else is original. I haven't touched anything on it. I keep it as original as I can without making any modifications to it. I just keep it clean and running properly, and I drive it just to make sure it's in good shape. It's got the wheel wrench mounted here, and it's got the a crank. You can start it with a crank, and I think I'll even show how that works today. Down on the front of the crankshaft there on the front pulley, there's a little cog there where you can engage the crank. So I'm just going to do a little demo on how easy it is to start with the crank. The compression on these is really low. They're made to run on low quality fuel. It's around 6.5 to 1. I'm just going to push it outside. It's a little tight in here. So to start it, of course, neutral, choke on a little bit, ignition on. I pumped the throttle a couple of times just to give it a little bit of a prime from the accelerator pump. So I can do this out and twist some arm off. Starts pretty easy, just one quick pull on the crank. Just take it for a little drive. Shop's a bit tight in here. This Gipsy drives pretty nice. It's got 5,600 original miles on it now. And I've seen videos where people complain about how the Gipsy wanders so much and it's really hard to drive, but when these are in good condition, when all the tie rod ends and the steering box and everything is adjusted properly, they actually drive really nice. I'm going to try and demo a little feature they have here. If you put it in 4 low, and maybe you can do this with other old 4xs too, you can start off in low range and you can shift through the gears, and then you can double clutch and shift into high range without stopping, which is kind of a neat thing. This has the Flexitor suspension. Rides pretty smooth. It's rides a lot like a coil spring car. Top's a little noisy. I find the canvas top version a lot noisier than my other Gipsy with a hard top, just because all the frame for the canvas top is rattling around. Four-speed transmission. First gear is non-synchro. 2, 3, and 4 are synchronized. It has four-wheel high, four-wheel low, of course. You can shift it into front-wheel drive. Then there's neutral for power takeoff. These straps that hang down here, I don't know what they were made of originally, but they over time they've just kind of hardened, and I think maybe they were elastic at one time. They don't really feel like canvas, but they're so you can pull the top back and then slide this back and you have kind of a sunroof going on. Has pretty good power, you know, for an old vehicle. They're not really meant to go fast. On the highway, doing 50 miles an hour is really as fast as you want to go. I think, you know, if you get up to 60 miles an hour or 90 kilometers, 100 kilometers, you're really pushing it. But it's pretty happy. It's like a nice cruising speed is about 45 miles an hour or 70 kilometers an hour. It's, you know, it's not revving too high. The gear ratios in these are 5, 12 to 1 in the differentials. I've got larger tires on it. I've got 750 16s, and they usually have 650 16s. So I have the larger tires on it just to bring the RPM down on the highway a tiny bit, because that way you're not holding up traffic too much. And you can see it dries quite easy. It's, you know, it's a tiny bit of play there, which is pretty normal for a manual steering vehicle. But it doesn't wander, it doesn't pull. The Flexiter suspension is actually really nice on the gravel roads. The vehicle stays nice and straight. You could be doing 40 miles an hour on a gravel road, and it never skips sideways like a leaf spring vehicle. I've owned other vehicles, Broncos and Land Cruisers and other things like that, and when you're driving on a rough road and you're going around a corner, the back end always seems like it wants to pass you. This always stays straight. It never skips around. This signal light switch is pretty cool. It was a little bit of a puzzle when I first got it, because it would only turn on and turn off. And I took it apart, and it's actually a mechanical timer in there that's when you turn this lever, you're turning a cam that pushes a piston down against a spring, and then the piston slowly comes back and shuts the switch off. And when I got it, it had a leather seal in it, of course, because it's old, so that leather had dried out. So all I had to do was soak the seal in some oil, some mineral oil, and then the switch worked fine again. And there's a little screw on the back of the switch, and you can adjust the amount of air that is coming into the back of the piston, so you can actually adjust the time that switch stays on for. It's pretty cool thing, really. Yeah, so that's my 1965 Austin Gipsy G4M10 ex-home office. Pretty cool old truck to have. I really enjoy it. This aluminum sheet here, I don't know if maybe anybody watching this video knows. I don't know if this is because of the radio antenna, if this was a plane for the antenna, or if this is just to support the roof. I've never seen this aluminum on anything else. You can hear my dogs in the background there, mad because they didn't get to come on a Gipsy drive. We do a lot of drives with this thing. Every night we're going a Gipsy drive, so they really like riding in it. But yeah, thanks for watching.